My ex-wife knocked on my door a night before my wedding and said, "There's something I need to show you." And what was inside the brown envelope she was clutching against her chest would shatter everything I thought I knew about my divorce, my bride, and the woman I was supposed to marry in less than 12 hours. My name is Caleb Monroe. I'm a 34-year-old architect from Lakewood Falls, Vermont, and the night before my wedding, I was standing in my hotel suite with my tuxedo hanging on the closet door, ready to marry Brittany Harlow, a brilliant, polished attorney who put my broken life back together after my marriage collapsed 3 years ago. But at exactly 9:47 p.m., 3 soft knocks changed everything, because standing in that hallway was Nora Calloway, my ex-wife, the woman who walked away from our marriage without ever truly telling me why. The school teacher with gentle green eyes who once promised me forever, then handed me divorce papers and disappeared from my life. For 3 years, I convinced myself I had moved on. For 3 years, I believed I knew the truth about why we ended. But the trembling in her hands told me she hadn't come to wish me well. She wasn't there to beg. She wasn't there to cry. She was there a night before my wedding because of what was sealed inside that envelope. Proof she had spent 6 agonizing weeks verifying, evidence she had driven to my hotel 3 times and turned back twice before finding the courage to show me. So why would my ex-wife risk everything to knock on my door the night before my wedding? What was so devastating inside that envelope that it couldn't wait even one more day? And what dark secret about my bride-to-be was about to surface just hours before I walked down the aisle? Stay with me till the end, because what Nora showed me that night didn't just stop a wedding. It exposed a betrayal 3 years in the making, and the answer to the one question that haunted me every night since my divorce. What if everything I believed was a lie? For a moment, neither of us moved. The hallway light buzzed softly above her head. Her coat was damp from the autumn rain, and a single drop slid down her cheek. Or maybe it wasn't rain at all. She gripped that envelope so tightly her knuckles had gone white. "Nora," I finally said. Her name felt strange in my mouth, 3 years strange. "What are you doing here?" She flinched, just a little, like the question hurt. "I know what tonight is," she whispered. "I know what tomorrow is, believe me, Caleb. I drove here 3 times and turned around twice. I sat in that parking lot for an hour telling myself to go home, to leave you alone, to let you be happy." She lifted her chin, and there it was, that look I remembered, the one she got when she'd decided something was right, even when it was hard. "But I couldn't let you marry her without knowing the truth." My chest tightened. "The truth about what?" She didn't answer. She just held the envelope a little higher, like it was too heavy for her hands, and suddenly I was angry. 3 years of silence. 3 years of wondering what I did wrong. 3 years of lying awake, replaying every moment of our marriage, trying to find the crack. And now she shows up the night before I start over? "You don't get to do this," I said, my voice low. "You left, Nora. You signed the papers. You disappeared. And now, 12 hours before my wedding, you show up at my door with—" I gestured at the envelope. "With that, no. Whatever this is, it's 3 years too late." I reached for the door to close it. "I never stopped loving you." My hand froze. The words hung in the air between us, soft and terrible. She pressed her lips together like she was trying to hold the rest of it inside. "That's not why I came," she said quickly, shaking her head. "I promise you, I'm not here to win you back. I'm not here to ruin your wedding. You can marry Brittany tomorrow, and I'll walk out of this town, and you'll never cease again." Her voice cracked. "But I can't carry this anymore. Caleb, I've been carrying it for 6 weeks, and it's killing me." She finally looked up, straight into my eyes. "I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I was made to believe a lie. A lie someone built on purpose, to break us apart." Her hand trembled around the envelope. "And the person who built it is the woman you're marrying in the morning." The whole hallway seemed to go silent. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. "Brittany? The woman who held me while I cried over this exact divorce? The woman who rebuilt my life piece by piece? That's impossible," I breathed. "Brittany didn't even know us back then. We didn't meet until after." "Are you sure?" Nora said quietly. "Are you absolutely sure about that, Caleb?" And just like that, every certainty I'd built my new life on began to crack. I looked at the envelope, then at her face, then at the tuxedo hanging behind me, waiting for a morning that suddenly felt very, very far away. "Come in," I heard myself say. She stepped inside, and the door clicked shut behind her like the closing of one chapter and the cracking open of another. She sat on the very edge of the armchair by the window, knees together, spine straight, the way nervous people sit when they're bracing for something. I stayed standing, I didn't trust my legs to carry me near her. Talk, I said. She set the envelope on the small table between us. Then she reached inside and laid down the first piece of paper. A screenshot. Text messages. 3 years ago, she began, her voice careful and slow. I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. Photos of you with another woman. My stomach dropped. Nora, I know. She held up a hand. I know that now. Please, just let me finish, or I'll lose the courage. She laid down a second page, then a third. Photos, grainy, blurry, the kind that showed just enough to break a heart but never enough to prove a thing. A man who looked like me. A woman whose face was always turned away. They came every few days, she whispered. First the photos, then messages from people I didn't know, telling me everyone could see it but me, telling me I was a fool. Her eyes shone. I confronted you, you said it wasn't real. You looked me in the eyes and swore it. Because it wasn't real, I said, my voice shaking. I know, she breathed. But back then, there was so much of it, Caleb. It was everywhere. It felt like the whole world was telling me the truth, and you were the only one lying. And I was so tired and so hurt and so ashamed. A tear slipped free at last. I didn't leave because I stopped trusting love. I left because I couldn't breathe anymore. I remembered that month. God, I remembered it. How she'd gone quiet. How she'd stopped looking at me. How I'd come home one evening to find the papers on the kitchen table and her eyes already empty. I'd spent 3 years thinking he had simply failed to make her happy. Why now? I managed. Why are you showing me this now? She wiped her cheek and reached into the envelope one last time. She pulled out her phone, set it on the table between us, and looked at me with an apology already living in her eyes. 6 weeks ago, a man named Marcus called me, she said. He told me he'd been hired to destroy my marriage, that he was the one who sent the photos, made the fake accounts, wrote the messages. He wanted money to stay quiet. She swallowed hard. I didn't give him a dime, but I recorded him. And then I spent 6 weeks, 6 sleepless weeks, proving every word was true. Her thumb hovered over the screen. He told me who paid him, Caleb. She pressed play. For a moment there was just static, then a voice filled the room. A man's voice, rough and tired. And then a second voice answered him. Crisp, controlled, precise. A voice I knew better than my own heartbeat. A voice I'd heard say I love you 1,000 times. Brittany. Make sure the wife sees them first. She's the soft one. Break her, and he'll be alone. And a lonely man is an easy man to catch. The recording kept playing, but I stopped hearing it. The room tilted. I reached out and gripped the back of the chair to stay standing. My ears were ringing. My whole body had gone cold, then hot, then numb. 8 months. Brittany had appeared in my life exactly 8 months after the divorce, at a coffee shop, by accident. She'd known my order before I said it. She'd known my favorite architect. She'd known the wound in me, and exactly how to press her thumb into it until I mistook the pressure for comfort. It was never an accident. She hadn't healed my broken life. She had broken it, and then walked in through the wreckage she'd built, holding out her hand like a rescuer. Caleb. Nora's voice was barely a whisper now. I didn't come here to take anything from you. I came because 3 years ago, somebody stole the truth from both of us, and you deserve to hold it in your hands before you made a promise you could never take back. I looked at her, really looked at her, at the woman I'd blamed in silence for 3 long years, the woman who had been just as lied to as I was, the woman who, even now, even hurting, had driven through the rain to hand me back my own life. And I felt something break open in my chest. Not grief, something closer to waking up. I picked up the phone. My hand was steady now. Play it again, I said quietly, all of it, from the beginning. Because tomorrow morning, in a room full of flowers and family and a smiling woman in white, somebody was going to answer for this, and I already knew exactly what I was going to do. The morning came golden quiet, the way only autumn mornings can. The Lakewood Grand was full of flowers, white roses, soft music, the clink of champagne glasses being set out for a celebration that was never going to happen. I stood at the front of the garden room in my tuxedo, exactly where everyone expected me to be. Derek was beside me, grinning, fixing my collar. You ready, man? He whispered. He didn't know. Nobody knew. Only me, and the envelope tucked inside my jacket, resting over my heart like a second pulse. Then the doors opened, and Brittany walked in. She was breathtaking. White gown, perfect posture, a smile so polished you could see your own reflection in it. The whole room sighed. She floated toward me down that aisle like a woman collecting a prize she'd always known was hers. And maybe that was the cruelest part. She really did think she'd won. She reached me, took my hands. Her fingers were warm. Her eyes shone with something that looked, to everyone else, like love. You look perfect, she whispered. I looked at her for a long, long moment. Brittany, I said softly, just for her. Who's Marcus? Her smile didn't move, but something behind her eyes did, a tiny flicker, fast as a blink, like a door slamming somewhere deep inside her. Who? She breathed. I reached into my jacket. I pulled out the envelope, and I watched the color drain from her face one shade at a time as she recognized it for what it was. I know what you did, I said. My voice didn't shake. I was past shaking. I know about the photos, the fake accounts, the messages you sent to my wife until she couldn't breathe. I know you broke my marriage on purpose, then waited 8 months and walked into that coffee shop like fate sent you. I leaned in close. It wasn't fate, Brittany. It was you. Her lips parted. For the first time since I'd known her, Brittany Harlow had nothing prepared to say. Caleb, she finally whispered, whatever someone told you, it's a lie they're trying to. It's your voice, I said. Silence. And in that silence, she understood. There was no argument, no clever angle, no lawyer's escape. Just the truth. Finally standing in the light after 3 years in the dark, I let go of her hands. I'm not marrying you, I said, calm, certain. Not today. Not ever. I turned to the room, to the confused faces, the lowered champagne, the families half risen from their seats. I didn't shout. I didn't shame her in front of them. Some part of me knew that exposing her cruelty cruelly would only make me a little like her. There isn't going to be a wedding today, I said simply. I'm sorry. Thank you for coming. Then I walked back down that aisle, past the roses, past the music out into the gold October light, and she was there, Nora, standing at the far edge of the parking lot beneath a tree losing its leaves, in her camel coat, not expecting anything, not asking for anything. She'd given me the truth and left the choice entirely to me. That was who she'd always been. I crossed the gravel toward her. She watched me come, her green eyes wide and uncertain. I stopped in front of her. For a moment I couldn't speak. 3 years of grief and confusion and longing pressed up into my throat all at once. You drove here 3 times, I said, my voice breaking, and turned around twice. She nodded, tears spilling. Don't ever turn around again, I whispered, and then I pulled her into my arms, and she buried her face in my chest, and we stood there in the falling leaves. 2 people who had been lied apart, finally holding the truth and each other at the same time. We didn't rush after that. We didn't pretend 3 years hadn't happened. We started slow, a coffee, a walk by the falls, long conversations about everything the lie had stolen. Aunt Peggy cried when she saw us together. Derek just shook his head and said, I always knew it was her. We married the following autumn, in the same gold light, under the same kind of falling leaves. No grand hotel, just family, just truth. Because I learned something that October night, standing in a hotel room with an envelope in my hands. Love can survive almost anything. Distance, silence, even 3 years of believing the worst. But it can never, ever stand on a lie. The truth is the only ground strong enough to hold it. Nora risked everything to hand me that truth, even when it could have cost her any chance of being with me. That's how I knew. Real love doesn't manipulate you into staying. Real love sets the truth in your hands and trusts you to find your way home. So before you scroll away, I want you to sit with one honest question and really think before you answer. If you had been Nora, carrying a truth that could free someone you loved, but might also send them straight into another woman's arms forever, would you have had the courage to knock on that door? Or would you have driven away a 3rd time and let them go and kept your silence to protect your own breaking heart? Be honest with yourself before you comment, because the answer says everything about how you love. I'll be reading every reply, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the channel notification bell.